Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the expert webinar organized by MIT School of Distance Education. I am Mehzabeen, your host for today's session. I will introduce about the session, our honorable speaker, and will conduct the Q&A session. Finally, my colleague Shrutika will deliver the vote of thanks. Next slide, please. After this, we need your valuable feedback after the session. You can scan the QR code here. You will also get the link after this session. Now I will take opportunity to introduce our honorable speaker, Mr. Janendra Kumar, also known as Jay. Jay sir is a vice president digital transformation at Excellence USA. He is the winner of Indian Achiever Award 2021 for his contribution in the field of software product engineering. He is an alumni of IIM and Massachusetts Institute of Technology and certified product manager by Association of International Product Marketing and Management, AWS certified, cloud architect and blockchain council certified, and third developer also. Jay brings 25 years of experience in technology, engineering, and product management at Diebold, Nextdorf, Pittibau, and Encyclopedia Britannica. He has driven innovation and product delivery in banking, cloud, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, APIs, and big data technology. His roles required collaboration with teams based in North America, Europe, and Asia. Here we can say like it's imperative that while AI can bring significant benefit to project management, it is not mean to replace human project manager. Rather, AI serve as a tool to augment their capabilities, improve efficiency, and provide valuable insight. Now let us listen to our honorable speaker. Over to you, Jay sir.
Hey, thanks, Mahadibin. So it's a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to be here today, interacting with all of you. Let me quickly share my screen so that I have control over the screen. Just a second, and then we'll get started. What happened? Just a second. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get started. So thanks for the quick for a great introduction. And today's topic is about AI and project management. Many a times people in the field of project management kind of thinks that how AI can help them in the managing a project or the broader program management or portfolio management. So I try to cover that more from the project management side as well as program overall, that kind of a thing. So we'll start with a quick poll, and then after I will start the session. Yeah, can we get a poll out quickly?
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your voice is actually low. So if you can,
Yeah. Is it better now? Yeah. Is it better
yes,
now?
it is. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Can we start with the poll, please? The first poll.
Yes, sure. Team, please launch the poll.
Yeah, we'll have a few seconds and then we'll see the results. Oh, good. The results come pretty well.
We request your feedback. My dear students, please fill the poll.
Friends, I think 14, everybody has.
Please submit your poll quickly.
So 15 people have already submitted, I guess. How many are there?
Still 15 still there.
Okay. Yeah. Please submit quickly.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you. Great. Yeah, let's end, and yeah, it gives a good context about about the participants' thought process. That actually gets us into the next slide, which is a very interesting one, where we talk about the portfolio management, program management, and the project management aspects. Uh, so let me start with the project management as a concept itself. Any in in every aspect of management, wherever at whatever level you get to, one thing is common is about project management. You have so it's about management is about managing a project, and that actually becomes more and complex as you move up the ladder, right? But the fundamental of project management remains same. So right from the project management where you are managing one single project, which could be more and more tactical, where there is a very simplistic delivery that you have to manage, which could be, a 1 month to a 6 months horizon delivery. It could be as simple as, setting up a warehouse, right? For that also you need a project management skill. So that is the project management. That's one, right? Then comes the second level of project management, which is a little complex, which is called program management. It is a little long-term business goals, and where there will be an alignment of various projects that you have to kind of start looking at to manage, and that becomes a program. And one program could be, if I take example from a software field, it could be a program being delivered for a specific organization. So for example, there are multiple projects which are going on to say improve the operational efficiency of one a specific unit, and for that you are running multiple projects, and that becomes one program. And then comes the highest level, which is portfolio level, where actually you start to actually measure the financial aspects. Of course, the financial aspects are measured at program level as well, but that is where mostly you start looking at decision making at a more strategic level, whether in terms of what was the goal, where you started with. Are you actually meeting those goals? If not, in between, you start making adjustments and or course correction. Now, talking about KPIs, so you will have KPIs at all the three different levels, whether it is project management, program management, or portfolio level. But majorly when it comes about business KPIs, that you will start to see at more at a portfolio level, where you are taking business decisions. Now, let me give you an example of a business KPI from one of my industry experience. So in one of the organizations, we were delivering a lot of software licensed products, and then at a business level, we started capturing all the data, and we actually identified that for a specific line of business, our AMC contract were just 5% of the license volume, right? So as a KPI, as a business KPI, we made a point that let's increase this 5% to 80% over the year, and which actually resulted into a significant revenue for the organization. So that's the kind of a portfolio level KPIs that you kind of start tracking and defining, right? So hopefully, I was able to differentiate between the program management, project management, and the portfolio management level activities and challenges. Now, coming to the simplistic project management triangle. So as a project manager, there are a couple of triangles, but yeah, the first one is the cost, the schedule, and the budget that you manage. So idea is, if the scope increases, your schedule will increase. If you, if you're, and the same, the cost will also increase, right? So you have to kind of create a balance. And similarly is the case for resourcing, risk, and quality. And project management is the art of actually balancing these 6 major parameters. Uh, Scope, quality, schedule, risk, budget, and resources. So this is what actually the project management is about. And in that, measurement and control is a key element. So as a project manager, it is imperative that you measure the project portfolio or even program, and through various KPIs, and control it iteratively at regular intervals. That's what the role is about, right? It is not about just setting or defining the project, from a planning perspective, but at regular interval, measuring it, whether you are, how you are doing against your plan, and then taking corrective actions. And that can only happen if we measure and control it on a continuous basis. Now let me quickly jump to the 5 phases of project management, and you will be all familiar with, right from inception, then the definition, planning, launch, and then control, and then project closure is pretty much a standard. But where I want to emphasize is that the KPI and the KPI and quality control. Now, this 5 stages of project management is valid for the projects if it is being done in a waterfall model, which is more traditional and it is longest, right? But at the same time, these are very critical for projects which are agile in nature, which is more iterative. And as I said, the aspects that is very critical for project management is risk management, your project planning, the KPIs, ensuring that the project that you are working on is high quality and is delivered at quality. And at the same time, you are delivering the value. And now the concept of value is again very critical, right? As a project, generally what we see that project managers take it as at a they take it more as a transactable level, where you define it from a delivery perspective. But I would challenge project managers to start thinking in terms of value delivered also. What I mean by that is this project delivering any value? So that is something that we need to start questioning as well before, if it is not delivering value, if there are issues with that, those itself are elements of risk. The highest risk of a project would be that the project is being done with 0 value or a negative value, right? So those ROI calculation itself will become a KPI. I have seen multiple times, projects get initiated, but it is not delivering that kind of a value, and then you realize midway into the project, by the time you have already spent a good amount of effort and dollars on it, on a project which would have been self at the get-go itself, right? So that is the project charter itself. At the time itself, we ensure that the project is the correct one to even work on. So that's there, right? And then the reporting, but reporting is not at the end. So let's take us to the next one, which is the agile project management. And not off lately, but for the last few years, 10, 11 years, agile project management is the way to go, where it is more and more iterative, irrespective of whether it is a software delivery project, or it is even the other manufacturing projects. People are using agile project management to a lot of success. It's very, very simplistic in terms of how you actually, work on it. The basic idea behind agility is that, uh, again, there is a uh, concept of delivering something tangible in an iterative way. What I mean by that is every iteration you deliver something which is of use, which is shippable to customer, right? Or there is a value which gets delivered every sprint. And that sprint could be 2 weeks, and that sprint could be, maybe a month or maybe even 2 months, depending on what kind of a project we are doing. But the fundamental is that you deliver something which is valuable, which can be used, right? And that is how the entire project management cycle starts to, that planning thought process actually changes. So all the concept, right, the 5 phases that we have talked about gets done in that sprint, whether it is a 2 weeks sprint or whether it is a 1 month or a 2 month sprint, but everything actually gets done. And on top of that, there is a broader level of planning that starts to happen, which is called the backlog and then the backlog grooming. And the terminology you see as product owner, scrum master, and team members, it's a software terminology, but it can be very well be used in any project management or a program management setting, where there would be a list of items that needs to be done. You start planning, carve out that, okay, within this month, this is something that we want to work on, and then the entire team works on it, and we deliver that value in that specific sprint, which could, so that is what the project management as a domain is evolving towards, which is more and more agile, delivering measurable, quantifiable, objective or task, which is valuable every sprint and sprint over sprint. And it takes a lot of, again, so in a software world, if I take an example, again, we are talking about industry. So in a software world, to be able to get to this and still, measuring quality, there is a lot of automation work that needs to be done. So to be, agile. Similarly, in the manufacturing settings, you will need a lot of equipments which could do those quality scanning and all those things to be able to deliver on this promise. So there is a lot of legwork needs to be done to be agile and then manage the project in an agile fashion. Now getting on to, and from here, we'll start diving into the AI side of project management. But before, we go there, the question to be asked is that, why this all of a sudden the project management and AI and the digital thing is so very important. And that is where, I'm throwing a study recently done by Gartner in 2023 of the board of directors, that, okay, what are the things that CEO and the board of directors are worried about, what's top on their mind. And that is where we see that, risk, along with, of course, growth has always been on the top of the list of the board, but along this side is the risk appetite and the digital acceleration. These are the two things which is top on their mind. So digital actually relates a lot with technology and AI as well. And that is where today's, irrespective of which industry you are in, having a knowledge of technology, AI is important. You need to have it to be, successful and thrive. Every organization is going through a digital transformation, and it is rapidly accelerating. So, knowledge of digital, knowledge of AI is important. Not only important, is an essential element. And to manage project, I talked about, the KPI risk and all those risks and, the project measurement control aspect, digital aspects, the digital tools, the AI tools are not only relevant, but critical elements to be successful. With that, I will ask for the second poll also, if you can send, if you can run the second poll also, and then we'll jump
Sure,
into
sure.
digital
Team, it's
transformation.
my request to please run the second poll. Thank you very much.
Great. I see major voting is on both internal and external focus. All right. Thanks.
Dear students, it is my request to participate in this poll, because this will give you, give us a proper idea, because this is an acknowledgement, we can take it. So it's my request, please participate to submitting this poll.
I think there is 22 by 22, 100% answered. So majority of the people are saying that it is internal and external focus. So great. Okay, let's. Should we move ahead?
Yes, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Now, this is a maturity curve around digital transformation, and most of you have got it right that digital transformation is both internal and focus and external focus. But what we need to understand is that at organization level, digital transformation starts right. The starting point is internal, and where the basic paper which gets a start to you start converting it into the digital. Then there is some element of transformational element to digital starts to come up. And again, there are sites where you start looking at two aspects. One is the operational efficiency, and the second one is about customer experience improvement, or even employee experience improvement. As soon as you start looking at both sides, which is about operational efficiency and also improving the customer experience, there is an element of platform which comes into play. And what I mean by platform is that there are people who are producing something, and then there are people who are consuming something. In between, there is a platform which is enriching the experience through the between the two. At the same time, there is a lot of data that actually it is capturing to bring a lot of value into the system for both consumer as well as the producer. And that is where the beauty of the digital transformation at the high maturity level. You would have a platform approach which will bring in the external consumers as well as internal people, and then you have the entire data which actually. So this is what generally organization will have an eventual goal, but then organization can start even with internal transformation, and then kind of start looking at going into, or it could be vice versa also. They start with external and then come into internal digital transformation. But the point is, digital transformation is the number one priority, along with, of course, growth for majority of the organization. And this is where actually organizations are going towards. And data is the new oil, and digital transformation is you would have data at the core, and through that data capture, or having that unified data actually will result into or will add value in terms of when you start doing and taking more and more advanced analytics and use cases through on top of the data, which is then takes you onto the AI side of the work. But this is important. I wanted to share, my thoughts around digital transformation, why digital transformation is important, because majority of, as you get into the project management, many of the projects that you will end up would have some element of digital transformation to it. And that is where, the digital project management comes into picture. You know, project managers would have some or the other tool either to create or to work with. It could be, product or a tool which is being developed by any vendor which you are implementing, or you are building your own. So you get into a ecosystem where you're working with the account managers to, along with the strategy, business analyst, then, the design folks, the developers, the quality assurance team. So this is where, the entire landscape of the project management and the stakeholder management comes into picture. And this is, and one more thing I would talk about, project management is very, very generic. But in today's world, every project management manager should have at least one level of a specialization, whether it is strategy, business analyst, or on the development side, or anyone, so there should be one level of specialization, which actually helps you to go deep into the specific business that you are working on. Now, quickly coming about, this is something that I wanted to talk about. I started with the KPIs, and then we talked about monitoring and control. So these days, and when we talked about digital transformation and KPIs, and data becomes the key element. You used to have this MIS system, and still, there are so much of silos. When you go into the organizations, you will find that, every function or a department is working still in silos. But the best thing is that with the big data technologies, you can start looking at cross different functional units, business units, and at an organization level. So not only at project level or a program level, now, senior leadership has the ability to actually start making decision based on the right set of data, collaborative data across the different kind of businesses or different functions. And how actually it happens is that, there are 7 steps to, data-driven decision making. So, understanding the context first, define those KPIs. KPIs could be at project level, program level, or at the business level itself. Then there is something called visualization, and there are tools like Power BI, Tableau, and so many else, which could actually help you in visualizing the data into, you define those KPIs, you visualize it in a form of chart so that, on a regular basis, you are kind of tracking it. As a project manager, there has to be a regular cadence of looking at how you are doing against those KPIs that are being set. So there is a set action plan that you kind of take, prioritize your decision, execute on it, again analyze it, and then close the loop, whether you are meeting those contexts. So that's kind of the decision-making cycle, but database decision-making is critical today in the project management organization. And, also while I talk about this data, we should also be focusing on removing those silos so that, there is wider visibility across the different silos, and the data and the decisions which are being made are more appropriate. Now, quickly, I would like to quickly talk about a few data-driven decision use cases also. So, where actually we are using those database. So robotics process automation is one of them. Process mining. So, a lot of data throughout the process that gets captured, you start mining that. Predictive maintenance. So in case of, automobile, or in case of even, tablets, which are getting shipped to the clients, predictive maintenance is a big use case. I can give you an example of, our, certain machines which were shipped, and then, from analytics, you start doing those predictive maintenance planning, and then upfront itself, which improves the customer satisfaction level itself. Manufacturing analytics is another one. Inventory and supply chain optimization is a very, very big one. If you look at Amazon, Flipkart, delivery, all of them are pretty much AI based. Their entire project management or even, that supply chain is all AI and ML enabled, right? I can give you an example that for delivery, I was talking to their CEO and they are investing, they were at that time investing a lot in ensuring that their trucks are 100% loaded. So they are routing it. So they were worried about getting the routing done correctly. They were worried about the packet size, the boxes, which box should go first, where do you pick it up? So all of them, so those things are becomes very, very critical in the entire supply chain management, have getting those routing right. And again, that is, so there are certain project managers who would be on the ground on a daily basis, managing the pickup of all those parcels and getting it loaded. Having the knowledge of AI and data analytics helps them in ensuring that they are getting that entire supply chain optimized and optimized. Employee monitoring as a project management, resource management is critical. So there are tools out there who would be ensuring that who kind of helps in managing the entire resources, even doing all the there are tools which will be doing even predictive analytics in terms of what will be the best time actually for the resources to work on certain aspects, more so in the warehouse settings. And again, taking the example of delivery, they have such algorithm running which optimizes their employee and when to actually bring them in based on the work forecast, right? So that those are the things which we see these days actively there. Some terminology that we also be very, very familiar one, like if you are working with AI, these are the things you will be seeing. So there is data. So data gets captured. You will be hearing the 3V very, very frequently, which is the volume, velocity, and the variety of data. Idea is that all this data set will be coming from multiple tools, multiple places. You will bring them in. In certain cases, you may be dealing with IoT data. Again, I will take the example of supply chain, where data could be coming from the IoT devices, the truck data on a regular basis that's coming in, that could be coming in from IoT devices, and it would be in terms of volume, it would be humongous volume, right? In terms of that, coming terabytes of data will be coming on a daily basis. Then once you have that data, the most critical problem is that data is not always in the best state. So there is a data preparation exercise that generally you have to do. So you need people who understands data engineering, right? Who will fix that data to make sure that data comes out nicely, and that is where the visualization of that aspects of. So these two things, that the volume of data, so big data, and then the visualization. These two is kind of you will see everywhere. So visualization, data preparation and visualization. If you have KPIs, you will visualize it, whether in Tableau, Power BI, and then or any other visualization tool. Then comes, so from here onwards, the complexity of data analytics starts. So once you have all this data, you will start to see if you can generate more value from this data. I gave you an example of delivery, Amazon. These guys will be looking at optimizing the route. How do you optimize that route? So at that time, the aspects of machine learning actually starts to come up, where you start creating models. So model is nothing but a combination of algorithm and data, and you run those various. There would be data scientists who are experts in this field who will actually create those models. But from a project management perspective, you should be aware that such techniques are available, and you can always ask the right folks to actually help you in creating those predictive model, prescriptive model, or doing a statistical analysis to provide you various insights. Again, so this terminology I have already familiarized you with. So you will hear, if you are working with data, you will hear data engineers who basically prepares the data, cleans the data, give you visualization on top of it. So you will get a KPI and then you start visualizing it. So you track it. So that is the minimalistic, right? That is the starting point, and every project manager should have that. Then comes data scientist. If you are working in a situation where predictive analytics and preventive maintenance and those things are of importance, you should have data scientists actually helping you with. But if you have, in both cases, whether you have data engineering or data scientists, there will be somebody with technical background who will kind of post it on the right infrastructure to make it available for you in a visual manner, which makes more sense for the project manager or a program manager or portfolio manager. Now, with this, I think I will quickly jump to this. This is my last slide. After that, I really wanted to have some interaction, and that's why I'm going a little fast here today. Before I conclude, I think that I should also talk about the AI world and the buzzword, which is the ChatGPT, which is generative AI. As a project manager, I think ChatGPT or generative AI can bring a lot of value, and this is where I wanted to share some of the thoughts how actually you can use generative AI as a project manager. So it can actually assist you in decision making. And what I said, why I started with that, many times I have seen project managers being very, very tactical, but as a project manager, I will challenge everybody to actually start thinking in terms of value. Is it valuable even to actually work on this project? And that is where you like to do some research work, and you have ChatGPT or generative AI, with whom you can actually ask really contextual questions to get familiar with certain things which you probably are not. And then if you are not sure about compliance requirement or something technology, then you can definitely ask, and the tool is really good at actually providing you those data sets. Now it can be used for creating project charter. So contextual question you can ask, and it can give you a good contextual draft. Not unlike those PDFs or a document file, but it will give you very, very contextual project charter for you. Similarly, situational analysis. So while you are running on the project, you got into a place where you're finding that the project is getting delayed, or it's a very complex project. So you can always ask that what is the best practices and the tips that in such a situation that I should be considering, which probably I am missing, and generative AI can actually provide you those tips, and which could be very, very valuable. Similarly, as a project manager, if you are working with a client, change request and managing that, a statement of work, right? It's a regular process, repetitive, mechanical kind of a work, but then you can have ChatGPT actually creating the SOW for you. You just provide them that context. Similarly, I talked about solution suggestions already. And again, like complex situation, if you are working and you are not able to figure it out, where actually is the critical path, and how do you kind of manage that critical path so that those projects come back on track. So that's also some advice, and those things you can ask AI to provide. And then agile transformation. So if you are new to agile world, coming from traditional project management background, again, ask generative AI. It will provide you the best in your context, how best actually you can go from a traditional project management to an agile project management process, because it's not easy. to transform a bunch of people who have been working in a traditional legacy manner to start delivering quantifiable and usable uh, items every sprint, and it is a rigor. And then that is now good that you have generative AI who can actually help you in providing those contexts. So these are the things where, and but yeah, it is not just limited to, these are just few of the things that I could think of where generative AI can be used. But there are other places where we can use it. I can give you my example, and I use generative AI very regularly for more from a product management perspective, more to do my research work. It is very, very good at that. It is not able to give me, market share, market data, but then, I get some aspects of the competitive analysis also done from using ChatGPT. But it gives us, it helps me, in finding, uh, the feature sets which is out there, through various competitors and those things. So product managers are also using, generative AI. Developers are using it. This is able to even generate code these days. Uh, so, again, like it is not replacing the developers, neither it is replacing the product managers, neither it is going to replace project managers. But if they are not using it, then somebody who is using generative AI will probably replace those people. So it is always it is important that that as a project manager, product manager, or even developer, we start adopting these technologies to be more and more productive, right? Because definitely, I see it improving the productivity level of the managers uh, through, where you will then, if you are doing a research work, it tends to take a lot of time, right? But this cuts down on the research work. It actually do a very contextual coding for you. There are add-ons in Google Worksheet as well as PowerPoint and Word, even Excel, to actually do a lot of the work, right? It generates, even if there are tools which would be generating emails for you. So, let's take advantage of those things in becoming more and more productive. So I guess that was the last slide I would like to open up for question and answers. And let me stop my sliding so that Benjamin can share her slides.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And this is really very informative session. And I hope students will definitely implement these information in their career path. And I would love to add that project management is nowadays in a corporate world very important, domain. Project manager ensure careful planning, direction, and alignment of the company's strategic goal. So I hope that students will definitely take this opportunity and they'll encash this, information in their career life. So there are a few questions, sir. I would love to, give you some information about the
Sure.
questions which actually been asked from the student.
Yeah.
So first question is how AI is correlated with non-IT sector project management.
So again, like that's where I touched about digital transformation, and digital transformation is top on the list on the radar for all senior executives and even board of directors. So irrespective of which sector you are, there is some aspects of digital transformation which is going on, and that is right away where we will see the adoption of AI. Uh, and whenever you are managing, and let's come to the basics of project manager management, whatever and which wherever a project manager is there and you are managing something, there is a element of monitoring and control. And when you're talking about the monitoring, it is those KPIs that you define, and then you start controlling. one way of looking at it, traditional project managers will look at it more in terms of, creating that project plan and delivering on those timelines. But I think, it's time that the project manager start uh, seeing it in a broader perspective and start looking at the value that a project manager can derive. And that is where the database decision making comes into the picture. And since anyways, you are going to monitor the project in terms from a timeline, cost and budget perspective, why not we actually start adding and seeing whether you are delivering value also. And as soon as you move up on the value chain and you get from a project manager to a program manager or to the upper level, which is the portfolio level, that is where at portfolio and program level, it is intuitive, or you start managing value. And that management of value is the database decision making. And irrespective of which line of business or which industry you are in, you need to capture those data to start tracking and monitoring it. And you start it small. You start with KPI, start with data analytics, then graduate to the next level, which is the statistical modeling. And then finally, AI based. Now I will give you an example of, from Diebold Nixdorf. So I was the India head for Diebold Nixdorf. They are world number one or number two in the ATM space. So again, like let's say they are manufacturing those ATMs, and then those ATMs has to be refilled, right, with appropriate amount of fund. Now, what is the best? Again, like you have that cash, which you have to go and fill that into the ATM. But the bank branch who is managing those ATMs will ensure that only an optimal amount of money gets sipped through that vehicle, and because they would like to maintain that reserve, because from a financial standpoint, that itself is critical. And that is where, if you are managing that project, that routing, not only routing and ensuring that the optimal amount of cash is being set, and then, you fill those ATMs at the right point becomes so very critical. Then the annual maintenance of, not only annual, but the right maintenance, predictive maintenance of those machines is very, very critical from a customer experience standpoint as well. And that is again the AI and the data analytics takes a big part into it. I gave you an example of delivery where they have a big data science and data analytics team sitting out there just to ensure that those trucks, large Volvo trucks, are full to 100% capacity. Otherwise, there is a loss. And it's a program management and a project management activities on a daily basis to ensure that they route those trucks, they pick the right boxes at the right place the first time. So all of this is all data driven. Lot of AI and machine learning work which is happening on the background to ensure that there is efficiency overall into the system. So everywhere, right? I'm giving you examples of non-IT fields.
I hope, Ajinkya, you got the answer of your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Omkar, sir, please unmute everyone so that they are open to ask their questions directly.
Unmuted, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you very much. So there is one more questions. Mr. Arpit Srivastava had been asked. Please confirm, is this analogy correct in the project management?
Which analogy?
Correct. One second, please, and
Yeah.
confirm, is this analogy correct in understanding agile project management?
So my question is, can I put it in some simpler words over here?
Yes, please.
Sure.
So you were explaining a slide on agile project management, and you were talking about. So I don't know what agile project management is.
Okay.
I want to understand it from a business operations standpoint. So, for example, there is an annual target given to a business unit, and in order to achieve that target, there are monthly sprints. Okay,
Yes.
so every month we achieve some target, and basis the base, which has been created, we set the new month target or the upcoming month target. So the question is that running this business operations, will this be an example of agile project management, as this is sprint oriented?
So again, agile is a very good question. I know that, I ran really, really fast, and there was a lot of things that I covered, right from agile project management to digital transformation, AI. These things are, would need much time, actually, much more time to actually comprehend and to go through. But thank you for asking this question. Agile is more of a mindset first, right? It is not a process. So what is that mindset? And I talked about, that every sprint start thinking in terms of delivering delivering something which is tangible and usable. In the concept of software, it will be a potentially shippable product to the customer. Okay. Or something which is shippable and which could be used by the customer. That is in the software world. Similarly, in a non-software world, it could be, something which is valuable and which could be out there to be used by the internal people. And, if I have to look at in terms of, say, the stairs, I would say, something, which I can build, which is still being used, right? It shouldn't be that you build it something like in a step by step manner, and then it is not usable. Now, in some context, it may not work, but the whole idea in terms of agile is that philosophy of start thinking in terms of delivering a real tangible value. And why? The reason is that, today's, there are so many, the economic situation, the business scenario, the macro dynamics, these are very, very dynamic. Gone are the days where you will see 5 years planning. 3-year planning is also getting very, very rare. Nowadays, you are doing quarterly planning. Things change on a monthly basis. Business changes, direction change every quarter. So with that, of course, I would have a big vision, maybe for a 3-year vision, or I will also have vision for a year. But do you want to manage the project or plan the project for the entire year? Probably that is not a good idea. So what I would have is that, I will have the list of items that I want to do or achieve in that entire year. But instead of delivering that entire thing and making it a big, big plan, I will say, okay, let's start small. Which is the number one priority, or which for a business to achieve, and that gets prioritized first, and we deliver that, or we engage as a unit to actually deliver that first, so that the maximum value can be delivered upfront itself, right? So that's how actually that mindset starts to change, when you start collaborating with the business in identifying that, okay, what is the maximum value that, out of all this work, which is the most important and the maximum value that we can derive from, and that you prioritize and you deliver it, and you deliver in a way that it is usable, right? And then what happens is that as soon as you deliver that, business also starts to generate value from it, either tangible or non-tangible, but that value starts to get delivered to the business, and businesses start to seeing you as a partner rather than an expense. So that is the mindset that we have to start changing as you get into the agile world, right? Of course, there is a process and all those things, that is what the sprint you talked about, but it is more about that mindset of high priority item to be picked first, then being nimble and agile to actually change direction midway, that the next quarter the business comes in and say, oh, by the way, we thought about it at the start of the quarter, but by the way, the business direction is changing. Instead of going north, now we will go east. So you said, okay, fine, we will also go east. It is not going to be a big deal. Here are some of the minimalistic extra effort that we will have to do, or minimum extra cost which you will incur, but we are nimble enough to actually change direction as the business is changing direction. So that's the whole idea of agility. Hope I answered the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got an understanding. Yeah.
Yes, my dear students, if you have any questions, you can ask directly. There is one more question. So will AI give a wrong answer? Can we get a lesson learned history from individual product through data without being recorded?
Good. So that's where, again, like this is interesting. So again, like generative AI, to the best, again, it is based on the historic data. So there is a good chance that it gives you wrong results. Even in the past, people in colleges and universities who have been doing research on data analytics have forcefully trained AI to give incorrect data. So again, so that's why there is a human element in all the AI work that we do, and AI is improving, but I would say still there is a lot of human elements involved to ensure that we are interpreting it correctly. It can help you, but it is not replacing humans.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So there's one more question. So how we can measure employee production, how it will be increased?
Employee productivity, I mean.
Yes.
Now, this is very, very interesting, and different business or verticals will have a different way of measuring it. I can give you my thought process on the software, how we measure it. So generally, speaking, there is a terminology called story points, and or effort estimates. Effort estimates is more in terms of hours. The story point is very, very complex, but think about it as a measurement of work delivered. Now, you have a team which would be delivering certain story points in a week. And hypothetically, let's say, 50 story points or 100 man-hour of work every week. Now, as they start improving, or, and it could be, use of AI, their productivity will start to improve. That 50 story points in a week will now start to show up as 60 story point or 70 story point. And that is how we start measuring the productivity of an individual, or the effort estimation, or the estimate that the efforts that they're looking at, that starts to actually, reduce, and more use cases they will be able to deliver. So again, like you start looking at, each and every task. And historically, you would be seeing that this many tasks, they had this much of efforts. Those tasks and the effort correlation, you will start to see a declining trend. On a story point, it is very, very straightforward. You will start to see higher level of story points getting delivered on a week-to-week basis. Similarly, other industry has their own way of measuring it. I'm just giving you, the software, how we measure. Of course, we don't call it productivity, but this is some sense of, measurement that we kind of keep track from a delivery standpoint.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So I hope anyone here who wanted to ask their queries and questions to this, sir. Any questions here? It's my request to all of you, please switch on your camera. We'll have one photo to capture this moment. It's my request to all of you. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Please, it's my request to all of you, please switch on your camera.
Yeah. In between, if there are questions I can take.
Yes, yes.
Are there any other questions also? I know, I ran through these various topics very, very
Yes.
fast. So
I
there
think
would
there
be-
is no more questions, sir. Over to you, Shrutika ma'am.
Hello. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes. So, hi, I'm Shrutika Bhosle, the Digital Marketing Associate at MITSD. So, first and foremost, I extend my deepest gratitude to Mr. Jainendra Kumar for taking out time for us and sharing his knowledge, expertise, and thought-provoking insights about digital project management and how AI and ChatGPT can be integrated for successful project management. His captivating presentation and engaging delivery truly intrigued our minds and opened how new horizons of understanding in project management. I would also like to thank to all our participants who joined us today. Your active presence and interaction have made this webinar a great learning experience. So I request all our participants for your valuable feedback on today's session. You can scan the QR code on the screen or we'll send you a link in your mail. So yes, thank you. And may the knowledge gained today propel us towards a brighter and more prosperous future. Yes, thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
time.
you.
Take care. Bye.